Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we're preparing to get underway for the final round of XRL's Realistic League here in F1 2021. It's been 23 rounds leading up to this point, and your champion is XRL Matrix. However, Matrix is not choosing to race today. He says, hey, I've locked up a title, I'm not feeling the greatest. He decided to step aside. It is instead a close friend of his, XRL Ozzo, who is taking the one of the two seats he had been driving over the course of this race. As Ozda is out the first on circuit, along with Elfin Starfish, who is just behind him in the Haas. However, there is still the Manufacturers Championship up for grabs, because technically, Williams could still walk out here and steal the Manufacturers Championship from the AlphaTauri drivers. However, to do so, Williams is required to finish 1-2 today, with AlphaTauri scoring fewer than 4 points. While it's not a very likely scenario, it is mathematically possible. Henceforth, the Manufacturer Championship technically is still up for grabs. Already, 6 cars are out on circuit. As you can also see, XRL Low is out, as is Mr. Worsen and Shelby Spark. Shelby Spark, your defending X3 champion, has taken over the seat that Matrix has vacated for today's race in the Alfa Romeo. So both of the cars that Matrix has driven throughout the season are properly represented. And now another crew of cars are coming out on track, led by Javis John in the Aston Martin. He's going to be followed very shortly afterwards by the Williams. That is ETE Watto, who is reserving in today's race. And then behind them is XRL Dragon in the McLaren. Dragon not looking forward to this race, saying that he thinks the best day McLarens can pull off today in finishing position is only a 6th place finish. Instant there on the back straightaway, that is Shelby Spark pulling over. He is trying to open up the gap between himself and his teammate. And that's something else to consider. Wet qualifying, the race itself is anticipated to be dry all the way through, but qualifying itself is wet. That means that the laps here are going to be significantly longer than what we normally see. Drivers are not going to be able to get as many laps in as quickly. Also, it takes a lot longer for the intermediate tires to get up to proper temperature. It may be a good 5 minutes, well, maybe not 5 minutes from this point, but another 3-4 minutes from this point until we start seeing what drivers can actually put down when it comes to pace here. But everyone, with the exception of 4 cars, are out on circuit right now. And we're going to go ahead and ride on board with Javis John in the Aston Martin here at Monza. See what a lap looks like on board with him here in the wet at Italy's Temple of Speed. Oh! And Javis John wrecks out in the last corner on his flying lap! And John, we were right on board with him, sends it hard into Parabolica, and the car goes around and completely loses it. And one of the 2 Aston Martins will not advance, as we see his teammate XRL Ozza now go by, as Ozza goes and improves up to the top of 130.079. But calamity for Javis John. And that will be the first DNF of the session. We know he will not advance, and now there's only one more driver who is not in position to it, who will get squeezed out before they get to the next round. Dave Ewart in the Mercedes comes to the line. He sets a 131.216 now in the Mercedes machine. That's good enough for 7th at the moment. Chubby Spark coming to the line in the Alfa Romeo. 132.710. That's the slowest of all the drivers thus far. 19 is in the middle of the lap, as is level 6 Beastian. Beastian in the Red Bull will set at 32.313. And now we see 19 in the Williams as he navigates his way through the final corner. Oh, and Bullbeast is out! And it is an Aston Martin! I'm not an Aston Martin, a Haas! That will not advance to the next round. Right just off the racing line is BG Bullbeast, and the humiliation conga line for Haas continues. And with that, we now know the 2 drivers that will not advance to the second round of qualifying. So everyone else just needs to set a lap, and they'll be locked in. Lowe retires in the pit lane. Oh, and that's Chubby Spark! And now Chubby Spark is ahead, and it's in the same part. No, just a little bit farther down the racetrack. There's, what, Christ alive! There's more DNFs happening than I can keep up with. Torpedo in the middle of an outlap, as is XRL Flavor and Mr. Worsen. Dave Ewart now goes to the top with a 29.608. Coming in the party right now is Chubby Spark. Chubby, go ahead and include your audio. You got a lap in, though it wasn't that great. And then an accident in Sector 2. What happened?
I don't know if you can hear my wheel, but my wheel just kind of fucked up. So, I mean, my wheel was fucking up all qualifying, so I just restarted it. But, that's what happened. I just dropped it on the exit. It was, dropped it on the exit. My pedals were being weird, and then I couldn't gear shift right, so I was just trying to counter that in it, and I died, so that's just what happens.
Alright. Well, do you think you can get the problem fixed, and then if you get it fixed, do you think you have a strategy that can get you into the points paying position?
Well, it's 53 laps of Monza, so I think about 4 people at least DNF, so yes.
Alright, well, that's one way to look at it, at least. Thanks for being willing to jump in and speak with us, mate.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Alright, that's the word from your defending X3 champion, Chubby Spark. Out in the first round of qualifying here. XRL Torpedo in the middle of the lap right now. Trying to get in right now with 3 DNFs happening all in the span of about 2 minutes. It means that everyone on track is guaranteed to advance to the next round of qualifying as long as they get a lap recorded. So this has turned Q1 into a very low-stakes game at the moment. Only one person, though, within the 29 range, and that is Dave Eorth at 29.6 in the Mercedes. Mercedes finally getting to triple digits in the Manufacturers' Championship after spending 23 races to do so. So on average, Mercedes were earning about 4.5 points per race, the lowest of everyone in the of all the teams in the series. So now Torpedo says time 30.453. That's 4th fastest. Zola is the only person left who have not yet set a time. And I imagine that once he sets a time, everything will calm down quite a bit. He just needs to beat a 32.276 in order to stay ahead of Mr. Worsen and guarantee that if some weird shenanigans happen, he will be ahead of Worsen. And for XRL 19, he has run the car out of fuel. He is completely out of fuel there in Sector 2. And that's his teammate, Sorry, that's not his teammate, but that is Watto in the Williams closing in on Shu with speed. That could end up being a potential issue because he might catch them right in the braking zone heading into... Oh, no, he's not. 19 will be out of the way, so it won't be too much of an issue. Zola sets a time, 1:30.602. With that, all 14 drivers who are still on track have set their times. Lowe also set a time and retired after setting a time. So frankly, we could see a very early end to this session, especially considering no one is anticipating the race itself to have any rain. Ozda is back out on track for an outlap, so he must think there is some value in trying to turn some more circuits here. Watto brains his Williams into pit lane. Mr. Worsen up by a small amount at the end of Sector 1 this lap. Yellow flag there. That is Torpedo as he is cooling down. Torpedo has broken into the 29s now. He is also in 29.6, so a little less than a tenth of a second off of Dave Ewart's time at the top of the sheets right now. And Worsen, can he go faster at the line? He has a McLaren in his draft as well, trying to go faster, and that is Dragon using the draft off of the Alfa Romeo will now jump up to 5th, 1:30.324. So this could end up being a good run, potentially, for the McLarens, the team that won here at Monza last year in F1. Ozda down on time by a small amount compared to his last lap on the intermediate rubber. Coming out of Parabolica now. Runs the Aston very wide, then cuts in. Doesn't cut in as tightly as you normally see done, but he will improve up to third now, 29.904. So there is a little bit more speed in the Aston Martin that he's taking advantage of. Watto, who is 14th, is now coming back out onto the circuit. And that is a McLaren coming back into the pit lane. That would be Dragon. Zola has invalidated this lap and will likely come into the pits as well. Worsen nearly out of fuel. He'll coast his machine into the pit lane. SFR Shu, though, is committing. He wants to go faster this lap. So in the Alpine, he'll come across the line. He improves up to 10th, 1:30.621 now. Dragon retires in the pits. Ozda, by the looks of it, had a bit of an incident there in at the start of Sector 2. And is now on basically regaining his focus lap right now. He is one of only 3 drivers on track, joined with SFR Shu and ETE Watto. I would not be surprised if we saw Ozda come into the pits. Not much to gain staying out at this point in the event, outside of bragging rights, and bragging, that's a high-risk, high-reward game, but he wants to stick out. He wants to go faster. ERS fully charged back up, so he wants to try and take the fastest time away from Dave Ewart. He just needs to be improved by about 0.3 in order to do so. Now we see Mr. Worsen coming back out onto the circuit, so he also wants to go faster. Interesting decision, because there's not really a whole lot to gain, considering that, again, forecast for the race is that it will be dry, but everyone wants to go faster and go set more laps in Q1 to try and put down better times. 19 retires in pit lane, but now we see the McLaren of Zola coming back onto the circuit. And Zola's 4th fastest at the moment. And now we see a Red Bull. That would be XRL Flavor coming onto the track now. As we follow Ozza as he now dives his car into Parabolica and tries to improve on his time. Down by 0.03 of a second. But he has the fuel and he has the ERS to go for another round. Bit more than 90 seconds left on the clock, so if someone's not coming onto the track right now, they're not going to be able to come back out there. So it looks like these 5 drivers we have on track right now will be the 5 that will stay on circuit until the end of this session. Zola coming around out of Parabolica. He'll cross the line and now begins to try and go a little faster here. Watto nearly out of fuel as he goes through Sector 3 right now, and he'll have to bring it into the pits, I imagine. There's just no fuel left in that machine. Thankfully, he's far enough ahead of Ozda that it will not impact that Aston Martin's lap. Coming to the line for Ozda. To the top, 129.604. He takes the fastest spot on the board by 0.04 of a second. Zola is low on fuel. Mr. Worsen is still good on fuel. Could Worsen steal the top spot from Ozda? That's the question. The answer, as he comes out of the final corner, is going to be a no. 130.988. That's good enough to secure him 13th on the sheets at the moment. And time's up in the session now. Zola and Flavor still in the middle of laps. Zola comes out of Parabolica, puts the hammer down, and coming across the line, the McLaren, does he improve? Yes, he does. Not up the grid, but he does improve 29.949, and now we see Flavor as he comes out of the final corner. He's trying to move up the grid as well. And to add icing to the humiliation in the feud that's gone on between Flavor and Dragon, Flavor now out-qualifies Dragon in the Q1 of the last race of the season. Now, of course, that can still change in the remaining 2 qualifying sessions, but that is not something that anyone could foresee happening. So now we see the Aston Martin coasting into the pit lane. Mr. Worsen still on another lap. Could potentially go a little bit faster here as well. Nope. Down time by 87 thousandths. So with that in mind, the session is over. The drivers that do not advance to Q2 will be BT Bolbies in the Haas, Chubby Spark in the Alfa Romeo, and Davis Don in the Aston Martin. And there's your result. There are 14 drivers that do advance. The spread from 1st to 14th, 1.9 seconds. The spread from 1st to 9th, though, within 9/10. The spread from 1st to 10th is just 1 second and then 1/1000th of another second. So, relatively close near the front. I think 19 Worsen and Level 6 Beastin might be at risk of getting dropped in the next round of qualifying here. So now we prepare to get underway for a second round of qualifying. Under normal dry conditions, this is the session that would decide what tire compound everyone starts on. But considering the circuit is still wet, and assuming it stays wet to the end, everyone will likely be setting their times on intermediates, and they will have whatever tire choice they want to start the event off with. First driver to get onto the circuit, though, will be the Haas of Elfin Starfish, and he will beat Mr. Worsen in the Alfa Romeo out onto track. Then there will be a little bit of a gap before you start seeing a flurry of activity. That's the Aston Martin of Ozda coming out. That's the Williams of XRL 19 coming out. That is also the AlphaTauri of XRL Low coming out, and the Mercedes of Dave Ewart coming out. Now we see a McLaren coming down pit lane and a Red Bull. So everyone now is trying to get on track pretty much all at once. But Starfish beat them all to the punch and has home circuit ahead in a great position to get a nice flying lap in here at Monza. So 10 of our 14 drivers on track, now 11 as Torpedo comes onto the circuit. Now we see an Alpine come out. That's Auto, I'm sorry, it's in Williams, but now we see the Alpine of SFR Shoe come out onto the track as well. So everyone with the exception of Flavor on track right now, trying to get a lap in as soon as possible in this session. As we continue to follow Elfin Starfish around the circuit here, as he's trying to set the lap that everyone else is going to be chasing. Oh, really wide, and invalidates! And that means that the prerogative now goes to Mr. Worsen, who is right behind him on track. Worsen is now the driver in position to set the lap that everyone else is going to be chasing. But based off the times that he was struggling to set in Q1, it may not be a very fast time in that Alfa Romeo. Not helped by the fact that his teammate Chubby Spark crashed out of the first round qualifying as well. There you are, 130.984, but almost immediately that's going to be trumped, we believe, by XRL Low here in the AlphaTauri, 130.941, and now we see Ozda cross 130.416. It's a massive gap from Ozda to everyone else thus far. Now we see Dave Ewart go to the top in the Mercedes, 129.950, but he had a toe off of the Williams ahead. So Dave getting a bit of a toe. So toe being the most important thing right now, it would appear. 7 drivers have set their times. The spread in time, though, nearly 3 seconds over 2.5 seconds at the moment. Jigsaw sets a time 36.373. That's not a competitive time whatsoever. We know that he can go faster than that. Torpedo right now is en route to go faster than his teammate Low based off of his split times at the end of Sector 2. Low has crashed out! I repeat, Low has crashed out! They're in Sector 2 and is right on the racing line, right in the middle of Flavor's line, as he has to swerve to avoid, and Low will not advance to the next round. So just the ability for drivers to actually make it through qualifying has been pretty suspect today, it seems. But this drops Low to 10th on the sheets at the moment. But the thing is, he had a time 130.941. That would be good enough for 6th fastest at the moment. So unless we see a lot of people beating that Lowe's time and subsequent accident, could end up seeing us with only 9 people advancing to the next round of qualifying. Torpedo's invalidated his lap, and 19 has invalidated his lap as well, so it's going to be a while until we see another lap. That will be from Flavor. At the top, Zola has jumped up to second with a 30.126 as he's gotten a toe off of Flavor's machine coming to the line here, but now Flavor gets a chance to set a lap on his own. Oh, and he twitches and is sideways out of that first chicane. Really, Flavor really seems to be struggling putting the power down at the moment. So 9 drivers have set times. Beastian on the bubble at the moment. What are you on? Dum 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 do 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 do. Yellow flags on various parts of the circuit as drivers low on fuel are trying to just coast in. Flavor 1 minute and 2.65 of a second at the end of Sector 2. So this lap is looking respectable for him at the moment. Not quite halfway through the session. 9 drivers have set time. Flavor setting himself up to be the 10th. Flavor did qualify top 10 in the dev race earlier, but that entire qualifying session was based more off of attrition than speed. Flavor 130.798, that's 7th fastest at the moment, and it squeezes his teammate Beastian out for the moment. Beastian, though, is still on circuit, on a cooldown lap granted, but he is still on circuit and could potentially go for another flyer here. Now Jigsaw goes to the top with a 29.592. That squeezes Mr. Worsen out of the top 10. Now Worsen is on the outside looking in. Beastian's going for another lap here. And Torpedo is coming down through Parabolica. And it looks like he can get a lap in now. After invalidating his first 2 attempts in the AlphaTauri, he's pretty much locked up second in the championship. Torpedo jumps up to 4th, 130.282. So now that pushes Lowe's time officially out of the top 10. Shu is now the one on the bubble with a 30.804. Beastian down on time at the end of Sector 1. He needs to find time in these next 2 sectors, otherwise he will not advance to the next round. The Haas of Elfin Starfish has crossed the line. He is now in the middle of a flyer right now. He'll be the last driver to set a time in the session. Beastian, about 6/10 off of Worsen's time, and that's just for 12th. That's the gap between himself and 10th right now is closer to a full second. Through Parabolica. Doesn't take the full outside line, cuts it in really early, really quickly, and aborts his lap, so he comes into the pits. So focus now is on Elfin Starfish. 59.813 at the end of Sector 2, so he has time, he has potential in that machine. Just not a lot of speed in the straightaways for the Haas. But that's not as much of an issue here in the wet. When traction is everything, we know that the Ferrari power plants are very good putting traction down. Torpedo now jumps to the top, 29.346 on the sheets. Starfish comes to the line, 6th with a 138.414. That pushes Shu outside, and Watto in the Williams is now 10th. Shu has already responded, though. He's out on track trying to get a lap in right now. But this right here, this is a lap that had an incident early on. This is not a lap we'll see an improvement on, but he is just close enough that if he really hoofs it, he might be able to get a toe off of XRL Flavor this following circuit. This is assuming Flavor doesn't pit. Nope, Flavor's coming into the pit, so it's going to be clean track ahead for SFR Shu. Mr. Worson in the middle of a lap right now, navigating his way around 2 McLarens. They're on outlaps at the moment. He gets by them without too much issue, but he's wasted a lot of time. He's actually down on time at the end of Sector 1 right now. He needs to gain a bunch of time here in Sector 2. 1:30.984 heat to get into the top 10. He needs to improve by about 1/3 of a second. But he spent so many laps in the prior session just kind of banging his head against the wall, not going anywhere. I'm not sure if he has the pace necessary in order to advance to Q3. He's down by a full 1/10 of a second at the end of Sector 2. The car just does not even look like it's carrying a lot of speed out of these corners, as he sends it into Parabolica now. And the team that brought us their driver champion at the end of the season might not have any drivers representing them in Q3 for the final race. Worson, 1/3 of a second off at the end of his lap. Farther back, Zola and Dragon doing some shenanigans. Zola gave Dragon a big tow down the main straightaway. Dragon takes advantage of it, shoots by him in the braking zone. Torpedo retires in the pit lane. He's very confident with his 29.346. Right now, if you're in the 130.2s or better, I think you're good. Dragon's up by sex number of seconds and thousandths of a second at the end of Sector 1. Can he gain any more time here in Sector 2? Now 19, who is on the bubble with a 30.592. He has come back onto the circuit, as is Watto, who is now on the outside. So Shu, by improving up to 9th, well now 19 gets by Shu, and Shu just retired in the pit lane. No, he didn't retire in the pit lane, did he? No, I think Shu's crashed out. Yes, Shu's crashed out in Sector 2 with a 130.543. And that's really going to upset things here. So Shu, crashing out of qualifying, we're back to having potentially only 9 drivers advance. Watto needs to pick it up by a significant amount. And if Watto picks it up, he might squeeze this man here, XRL 19, out of the top spots. Well, out of the top 9 spots. Flavor retires in the pits with a 130.082. He feels very confident in that Red Bull. All right, coming in the party right now is SFR Shu. Shu, go ahead and include your audio. You're on pace to make it into the top 10 and then an accident in Sector 2. What happened? Shu, can you hear me? We're not able to establish communication with Shu, apparently. 19 goes across the line, 130.423. This puts Dragon on the bubble now with a 130.502, and Watto might be in a position to squeeze him out. Dragon's still in the top 10, as Shu has now been pushed out down to 11th. Watto needs to improve by over a 1/10 of a second in order to squeeze the McLaren out. Beastian has found a lap though, 130.276, so both Red Bulls are positioning themselves. Oh, there we are. Shu, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, my mic.
All right, Shu, go ahead and you include your audio. Big instant there in Sector 2. What happened that took you out?
I just came out the corner and put the power down too quickly, and it just spun me, and I was a passenger at the end of it.
It looks like you're going to probably be starting somewhere between 11th and 13th, right in the eye of the storm. That is the chaos of a first lap at Monza. Do you have a strategy, assuming you survive lap 1, do you have a strategy to get yourself back into the points in the race, though?
Well, my strategy worked in Dev earlier, when I was in a lap 1 incident, so I'll probably just use the same as that, but just change it towards the end of the stint on the mediums, and go from there, really.
Alright, thanks for being willing to jump in and speak with us. It's a shame to see you knocked out like this.
That's alright. P11's a good starting point.
Alright, well, P12 right now for Shu. Here comes 19 to the line. 19's in. Waldo is back out, so it's only going to be one Williams making it out of the first round of qualifying. BC is 10th right now. It's him versus Mr. Worsen. The McLarens have done enough drafting shenanigans that they're in. Worsen, though, is down by over 6 seconds. He's on a cooldown lap. He's not going to advance. And Beastian brings it into the pits. He knows that he's safe. So that's it. Session is over. Dragon out of fuel is just coasting around the circuit. Zola in a similar position, just coasting it into the pit lane. So session 2 of qualifying comes to an end. Both McLarens, both Red Bulls make it into the next round of qualifying. But it's a lot more randomized once you get beyond that. Alright, and there we are. This should be it. There we are, top 10. The spread from 1st to 10th, less than a second, 0.930. The spread from 1st to 2nd, though, over at 1/10. It's about 11 hundredths exactly. But the drivers not make it in. It will be a Williams of Watto, the Alpine of Shu, the Alpha of Mr. Worsen, and the AlphaTauri of XRL Low. So now we prepare to get underway for the pole shootout as the top 10 drivers will compete for pole position. Already, immediately, Ozza trying to be the first driver out onto the circuit. My goodness. No attack, no chance, I guess. As he's trying to get on track immediately to set a banker lap. Now, even with DRS off, as long as you don't make any mistakes, you can still set 3 attempts at a lap here. It takes you about a minute and a half to get a lap in without DRS. So you take in consideration about a minute and a half for a warm-up, a minute and a half for a fly, or a minute and a half for a cooldown. Oh, and that's a spin! And the Williams of 19 spun as he was following in Oz's tire tracks, spun right out of the first chicane. Well, that's going to be embarrassing. But for Ozda, as I was saying, he is in a position that he could go out there, assuming no mistakes are made. It will take him 4.5 minutes to get a lap and get back into the pits. He can take 30 seconds to a minute to change everything over, get back out, do another attempt, do the exact same thing over. Ozda and to a lesser extent Elfin Starfish are both positioning themselves in a place where they could get not just 2 but 3 shots at a pole position lap here, assuming nothing goes wrong. Everyone on track right now except for Zola and Jigsaw in the McLaren and Alpines respectively. Ozda won at Brazil earlier in the season, also had an amazing drive at Spa a few weeks back. We're going to go sign for a lap. I'm right on board with him, see what he can do in the Aston Martin here in the wet at Monza. And there you are. Ozda sets the time everyone else will be gunning for, 129.677. Starfish is going to respond in the Haas with a 130.593. And then it goes to Torpedo. And the AlphaTauri, as he comes out of Parabolica now, he's going to respond with a 130.546. Then the McLarens. Dragon jumps to second, 129.869. Ned's Dave Ewart in the Mercedes, 129.194. And Dave is trying to get a last race pole for the Mercedes locked up here at Monza. It would be an incredible turnaround considering how rough this season has been for the team. Flavor in the Red Bull coming to the line. Fourth, 130.544. 19 comes into the pits. Jigsaw has not yet come out onto the circuit. Zola is a little bit late coming onto the track to get a lap in, but he has clean circuit ahead of him. What can he do in the McLaren? 7 drivers have set time. Beastian's time, though, 34.948. Not even remotely competitive. We know that they can go faster than that. Beastian has had an accident. Beastian's had an accident somewhere on circuit, and the entire front wing's been ripped off. So now he has to navigate cautiously around the entire track just so he can bring that thing into the pits and get a new front wing installed. That's not going to help him whatsoever. As Zola now sends it and invalidates it. And with that in mind, this pretty much brings it in. Torpedo crosses the line, but does not go any faster. Dragon will cross the line. He goes very, very slightly slower. And now we see Dave Ewart. He is going to come into the pits. But interestingly enough, Dragon, who did improve, so I thought he went slower. I was wrong. He actually went faster. Dragon did improve up to third. Well, he was already third, but he solidified that third spot at the moment. And Torpedo solidified his spot in fifth. Zola is going for another lap right now, though. There's not been a lot of hurry by the likes of Dave Ewart, Ozda, or Starfish to get back onto the track. Starfish just kind of stayed on the circuit. Ozda immediately came in. They seem to be relatively confident that they can go faster with just one more shot. But right now, the spread between the Mercedes and the Aston Martin is over half a second. Well, about half a second. Not over, it's just about half a second. Zola's trying to get a proper, clean lap in here. 19 has come onto the circuit. No movement from the Alpine camp. And we do not see Jigsaw coming onto the track yet. Through Ascari. Exits nice and tight. Didn't carry the greatest amount of speed out, but he exited it clean, and that's the important thing for Zola right now. As his teammate, Dragon, who was out of fuel, pulled over there. So no chance for Zola to get any sort of draft off of his teammate this time by. Coming to the line in the McLaren, the 8th time will be 129.794. It's good enough for 4th, so McLaren looking a lot stronger than Dragon was predicting, at least, in the pre-race. Jigsaw finally out onto the circuit, trying to get a lap in. Waited until the last bit to do so, but the circuit's relatively clean right now in his favor. Also, Ozda already back out on track, trying to go for it again. 19 crosses the line, now be gaining a lap. He'll be the 9th driver to set a lap in this session in the Williams. 198 at the end of the front stretch before diving into that first chicane. Still clean for 19 as he runs through that second DRS straight. But again, in the rain, there is no DRS. So this is just another straightaway. Now down the second of the two back straightaways, the fuel light is flashing with aggression, but he will bring it to the line for sure. This is going to be 19's only shot at a lap here. They only fueled him up for one blitz of a lap. .130.294, that's good enough for 6. So now the focus goes to Jigsaw on the Alpine, who is the only man left who has not yet set a time. Almost everyone else, not everyone, but almost everyone else is out on circuit trying to improve at the moment. Movement in the Aston Martin camp. That is Ozza, who has just been let out. They're going to let him go for one more shot to try and knock Dave Ewart's time down. But Dave, with a 129.194, looks pretty insurmountable right now. The only man I think that could do it is Ozda or maybe Dragon if they get his teammate Zola to give him a fantastic tow down one of these straights. That might be what they're playing in the McLaren group. Dragon is on an outlap and Zola has just come out of pit lane. They may be trying to time it so Zola can give his teammate Dragon a draft down the second of the two back straightaways. Jigsaw goes up to 5th with a 29.913. Dave Ewart in the middle of the lap right now. Oh, big twitch by the Mercedes out of the chicane. That's going to kill his time. Dragon might actually be in a position that he can get a tow off of this man here in the Red Bull level 6 Beastian. And Torpedo with an instant in the first chicane. Starfish coming to the line, and he's getting a small tow off of the Red Bull of Flavor ahead. It stopped raining. The track is still damp, but it has pretty much stopped raining. Starfish jumps up to second with that tow, 29.675. This could get interesting because the circuit is drying off in these closing minutes. Ozda now crosses the line to begin a flyer. 37 seconds left. Here comes Dragon! Dragon spins on his lap. That's not going to help him. He needs to rush the line. Jigsaw now jumps to the top, 29.105. Time's almost up, and the track's faster than it's ever been. If you don't make any mistakes, and you can take a nice head of steam across the line, this could work out well for you. Dragon, and to a lesser extent Torpedo, might be in a good position. Does Dragon have enough time to make it to the line? It may be Dragon fighting with Torpedo for pole position here. No, will they make it? I don't think they're going to make it to the line. Torpedo, can he get it? He's not going to get another lap in. Neither will Dragon. So that means it goes to Beastian. Beastian might squeeze pole position out. Jigsaw at the top right now is at 29.105, but he's low on fuel, won't be able to go faster. Flavor is up by 4/10 alone this lap, and just behind him is Starfish still getting a tow off that Red Bull. Could Starfish and the Haas steal the pole? No, he's around! He's hard to the wall! Charles Leclerc style, and coming out Parabolica, and the Haas is out of it! Here comes Ozza with speed out Parabolica. He twitches in the same way. He saves the car, barely keeps it from seeing into the Haas. Ozza third. Here comes Zola to the line now. At the line for Zola, it will be in the 29.335. There's now being the cross behind. Jigsaw, 29.034. Here comes Dave, who's been on the top of the streets most of the day. What can he do? Nothing. He's not able to go fast enough. It's Jigsaw versus Beastian for the pole. Beastian on the run down to the start-finish line. I did not see if he took it or not. Thing did not update. I don't think he did. I think it probably went to Jigsaw, who won the dev race earlier. Yes, Jigsaw, who won the Dev race earlier today from dead last, is now going to start today's race on the pole in the Alpine. Davey will be starting second in the Mercedes. Third will be Zola in the McLaren. Fourth will be Azda in the Aston Martin. Fifth will be Elfin Starfish in the Haas. Sixth will be XRL Dragon in the other McLaren. Seventh will be Torpedo in the AlphaTauri. Eighth and ninth will be Beastie and Flavor in the Red Bulls. And 10th will be Williams in the with 19. Alright, and coming in the party right now is Elfin Starfish. Starfish, go ahead and include your audio. You look like you were on track for a monster lap, and then that Charles Leclerc style instant out of the final corner. What happened?
That Haas isn't possible to drive in. On maximum position, I was losing time going out of the chicane, so and just.
Alright, well, I do want to ask though, you've got a good starting position at least. Do you think there's a way you can at least keep your machine in the points to the end of the race today?
Well, you know, the Haas is not good in straight on the straight. That's an oval. And it's not good in the medium and height. The medium track also has. So, I mean, my best hope is sticking it here.
Alright, well, good luck, mate. Hopefully it works out for you in the event. Well, that's the word from one of the two Haas drivers, as both Haas's suffer accidents in qualifying. But Starfish at least was able to save his until the end of the final round of qualifying and still pulled off a 5th place starting spot irregardless. But at the front, Jigsaw, who not very many people were pegging as a potential pole position threat, ends up stealing it just as the track is drying off. So he's going to start this race the same way he ended Dev. So it'll be about 4 minutes until we get underway for the race itself. Real quickly, as we look at the Drivers' Championship, Yun still with 26 points. Frisbee 19th. He has 52 points. 18th is Beasting with 53. 17th is Ozzo with 54. So a very tight fight there for 17th through 19th in drivers' points. 16th is BG Bolby with 62 points. 15th, Mr. Worsen is 68. There's a tie for 13th between Fizzy and Ocean Lion. They both have nice number of points. 12th is XRL Low with 89 points. 11th is XRL Dragon. He is now back in a tie with Gabo for 10th. They both have 90 points each. Gabo not running today, Dragon is. So if Dragon can just finish today with a single point, he will get back into the top 10 in points, assuming that Low doesn't massively overtake him as well. Then in 9th is XRL Jigsaw. He has 91 points. 8th is XRL Flavor. So Flavor ending this season with a triple-digit number of points. An outstanding job by Flavor. I would say, without a doubt, most improved driver over the course of the season. 7th is A. Wyden with 126. 6th is Jabez Down with 130 points. 5th is XR Zola with 136. 4th, Ryan Hurricane with 167. 3rd, Smoothie 25 with 192 points. 2nd, XRL Torpedo with 243 points, the only driver in the 240 range. 1st, XRL Matrix with 215 points. So a very, very dominant season by both Matrix and Torpedo. Torpedo would have easily won this championship if Matrix was not here. That just really goes to show what kind of performance those two opened up over the course of this season. So just standing by until we get underway today. real quickly as we look at the race director. No one in the top 10 starting on mediums. Everyone in the top 10 wants to start on softs. 11th, Watto is starting on mediums. 12th, Shu starting on softs. 13th, Worson starting on mediums. 14th, Low on softs. 15th, Bull Beast on mediums. 16th, Chubby Spark on mediums. 17th, Gabuscon starting on softs as we're preparing to get underway for the event itself. The last race of the realistic season here in F1 2021 for the Extreme Racing Leagues. 17 drivers, 9 teams represented. But only one can win this final race, a way to cap off a season, whether it be great, disastrous, or utterly mediocre. As they load onto the circuit, 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, away we go here at Monza. Right off the bat, it's a drag race between Jigsaw and Dave Ewart, but Jigsaw's gonna pick up where he left off, and Dev easily takes the lead going into turn 1. It's side by side between Zola and Ozda, and Zola, it gets clobbered nearly by Ozda. Ozda has taken damage after sliding into someone's car, slides back to 5th. Alfred Starfish and the Haas is now there fighting with them. Torpedo trying to get by the Williams of 19, who is using draft off of Ozda to try and make something happen. Side by side for 5th position, 19 to the outside of Ozda, hard under braking. They both barely navigate through the corners. They make a little bit of contact. 19 hip checks the Aston Martin, and he'll move up to the 5th spot. Further down the order, Beastian, with a horrible start, has ended up in the gravel, dead last 17th before they even complete the 2nd sector. And Jigsaw already over a second away from Dave Ewart on the circuit. Zola closing in with pace on Dave Ewart in 2nd. McLaren, despite having, without a doubt, the best car driver balance, has not taken a single win this season. Podiums have been almost impossible for them. Zola's trying to turn that around here. He knows that more than any other circuit, Monza really focuses on the strengths of the McLaren car, and he wants to make something of it now. Ozda fighting back on 19 and will overtake him down the straight. Torpedo has speed on both of them. He'll end up right behind 19. 19 on the outside, Ozda on the inside, hard under braking. 19 runs over the curbs. Ozda runs wide, but he'll keep it on the track, and Ozda accelerates out. He'll take 5th position over 19. Torpedo's still there, can't seem to get by either of them. 19 looks to the outside of Ozda. Ozda runs wide, blocks him. Now 19's going to be on the outside, coming into turn number 3. Under heavy braking, a little bit of contact. Ozda bounces over a curb, slides into 19. 19 doesn't have to worry about it. He slots in ahead. Bull Beast and the Haas came into the pit lane. Damage on the first lap has kind of harmed him. Torpedo continues to run behind these two, not able to really do anything with them though. And as these are fighting, it's letting SFR Shu in 8th and Watto, who is now in 9th, close in. Ozda looks to the outside of 19. Heavy braking as they go into Ascari. They take alternate lines. 19 though exits with a little bit more speed. Torpedoes around into the wall and rips off the front tire, and he's out. And that puts us under the virtual safety car as Torpedo crashes out, and now the run for the Manufacturers Championship gets just a little bit harder. No one seems to be pitting under this virtual safety car. For Bullby, it's a little bit of frustration because it's only a virtual, not a full-fledged one. But when we go green, DRS will immediately be re-enabled. 16 drivers left on circuit. But first and second in the Drivers' Championship now not here. Alright, and coming in the party now is XRL Torpedo. Torpedo, go ahead and include your audio as we go back to racing. What happened out there? Alright, well this puts you guys in a slightly difficult scenario because I miscalled it last week. We know the AlphaTauri team not quite locked up the Manufacturers Championship. You just need to keep the the Williams drivers from finishing 1-2 today. Do you think that your teammate Lowe can do that? Alright, well, thanks for being willing to jump in. It's a shame to see you knocked out so early in the event in the final race of the season. Alright, Ozda has used DRS to get by 19, and now SFR Shu is there in the middle of it. Shu right behind Ozda, but he's still side by side with that Alpine. So Shu, 19, Ozda all on top of each other, and Watto in 8th is closing in. Those medium tires aren't harming him that bad because everyone ahead just keeps fighting for position. At the front though, Jigsaw leads, Dave Vivart, Mercedes is second. This is the same battle that we saw at Dev just a little bit more than 2 hours ago. But in that one, the Mercedes ended up crashing out and just had a bad run altogether, while Jigsaw cruised to victory. Doesn't look like Dave wants to make it a repeat of that. Ozda continues to lead. 19 is now bringing a 3-car train onto the back straightaway. Ozda swerving back and forth across the circuit, trying to break the draft. Doesn't matter. Shu is right there in the draft of 19, and 19 is in the draft of Ozda. They're both going to have a huge run on him down the straightaway. How is Ozda going to defend? Shu looks to the outside of the Williams. Neck and neck, Williams and Alpine. They both have draft on Ozda. Ozda can't block both lanes. He swerves. He's trying to block both. He can't. He holds the outside. The Alpine's going to go around the outside, heading into the braking zone. And Shu completely blows the braking zone altogether. And Ozda will be able to maintain his position for just a little bit longer. But 19 is not wanting to let him have it. He is putting mad pressure on that Aston Martin. As they run down to the second chicane here, he looks to the inside, throws the car to the inside, contact, and 19 very nearly gets run over from behind by the Alpine. Now that brings Lowe up into the fray. Alpine are a little bit wide. Lowe's not willing to dive to the inside there at the top of the circuit. Now they come onto the second DRS straightaway. Lowe has a run on 19. 19 just didn't have a good run to the straightaway, and the DRS is not going to be enough for defense. Lowe goes by 19. Shu hangs out in 6th behind Ozda. At the front, though, the battle is Jigsaw versus Dave Ewart, Alpine versus Mercedes. Mercedes, at least the one driver that is running right now, is en route to what could be the best finish we could see for Mercedes all day today, all season long. 19's crashed out! And that's out of Parabolica, right in the middle of the racing line, and that is a safety car. And with that out, and with 19 out, that means the AlphaTauri team automatically locks up the Manufacturers Championship. And we have a caution. And for the Haas of BD Bullbeast and the Alfa Romeo Chubby Spark, they'll be very happy to see this because this gives them a chance to properly catch the back of the grid. And for Jigsaw, he'll also be happy about this because this means that he can potentially extend the life of his tires, and that coupled with clean air means he should be able to hold on to the lead for a little bit longer compared to Dave, who is using DRS to absolutely hound him around the entire circuit. Also, everyone's going to basically get a chance to make a free stop if they so choose, but I don't think the soft tires are going to be that one. Again, qualifying was done all with intermediate tires in the wet, so all these tires are nice and fresh, and you can definitely get some more laps out of them. Looking down from the helicopter camera as we see our leader coming down the main straightaway. Ozda does pit out of the top spot, so Ozda wanting to get on an alternate strategy. He's joined by Jabez John, but John, this is not going to go well for him. because he gets a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he was ahead of his teammate. Oh no, that's Ozda. Ozda serving a time penalty? So, oh, they're doing a wing change, okay. Wait, you can do that? Okay, I didn't know you could change wings in this game. Ozda, they say that they've changed the wings on the Aston Martin. He has now been dropped to 12th, and Jabez John just did not time it well. He's caught behind his teammate in pit lane, and now he'll come back out, but he's 14th, and Jabez John has a 5-second time penalty he's going to have to serve for speed entering the pit lane. He's 14th now, but still's going to have a lot to make up. Chubby Spark also repairing some damage to that car. He's back out. He'll be on fresh softs, as will Jabez John. Bolby's still on slightly worn softs. Ozda is going to be on fresh mediums. And everyone ahead is on slightly worn soft or medium tires. It will take a little bit of time, though, for the back of the grid to catch the leaders. Ozda's still 20 seconds out from Beastian in 11th alone. Now he'll close massively in the straights. Already down to 16 seconds, 15 seconds, 14 seconds, 13 seconds, 12 seconds. Then holds off just a little bit in Parabolica, and then will rush back in. He'll probably catch them coming into the turn 1 chicane. He's already down to 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6 seconds. Now he starts to let off so he doesn't end up plowing into the back of the grid like a moron. And Bulbeast is only about 5 seconds out from Ozda, so yeah. Field's all gonna gather up here, and we'll be going green by the looks of it on lap 9. Jabez John is only about 4 seconds out from Bulbeast on circuit, and then Chubby Sparks are 26 seconds out. But for Chubby, he still has all these straightaways to navigate, so he's going to close by a significant amount, I imagine. Well, I say that, he's still 27 seconds out. He's still 27 seconds out. I hope Chubby Spark picks it up, because otherwise we may not be able to go green this lap. Real quickly, as we look at the telemetry, when it comes to fuel mileage, we know some drivers like to underfuel early on, but that does not seem to be the case today, with the exception of Elfin Starfish, who's running 4th. Everyone is good on fuel to the end of this event right now. There we are. Now Chubby Sparks trying to close in, but he's still over 20 seconds out. He's still 22 seconds out. 20 seconds out right now. I don't think we're going to be going green this lap, sadly. He's just too far back. So we're not going to go green until lap 10 then. Cool. Mr. Worsen holds up the grid for a moment. I'm a little shocked that Jabez John didn't elect to come back down pit lane, put on a different set of tires, and use this to serve the time penalty they had, but I've definitely seen people do that before, so yeah. There we are. Now Chubby Spark catches the rear of the grid. Well, at the front, it's XRL Jigsaw, who has led for about 30 laps straight today. About 30 laps straight. after taking the lead early on in the Dev race earlier today, and easily leading from that to the checkers, taking pole, leading right off the start-finish line here, and has led the first 9 laps of this race. But once again, he'll have to fight with the Mercedes of Dave Ewart, and the Mercedes does seem to be capable in a straight line, a little bit less capable in the corners, but very capable in a straight line. Zola in the McLaren in third, en route to what could be the best McLaren finish all season long. Elfin Starfish in fourth, trying to squeeze a potential podium to end the season off. Jigsaw really holding the grid up as we're coming to the green flag. Now he shoots out of there like a cannon. Green flag is underway once more at Monza. Drag race, Jigsaw, Dave Ewart, the Haas, the McLaren, and they're both into the wall, and they barely save it. Somehow the McLaren and the Haas did not take each other out, but they both swerved to the inside and very nearly ruined each other's race. But that let SFR Shoe sneak up by both of them, and now Zola has been dropped down to the 5th position as Dave has not been able to keep pace with Jigsaw through the first corner. Now Starfish is hounding the Alpine Shoe. It's 1-3 for Alpine, but the Haas wants to break that up. Haas dives to the inside, and Starfish is going to put his machine up in the 3rd position here. Low in 5th, running just behind SFR Shoe right now. Shoe runs wide, and that's going to let him by. Zola is going to have an instant. He nearly hits the inside wall, and he's going to drop down to 7th. So something is wrong with Zola's machine clinically because he is hemorrhaging time. He's now about to get overtaken by XRL Flavor on merit on the track. Ahead, Watto dives to the inside of SFR Shoe. Now Zola tries to go around the outside of Watto. Can't make it stick. Now the Alpine goes off circuit. That Shoe very nearly into the outside wall. He'll drop out of the point-paying position and fall down to 12th. That now has promoted Ozda up into the 8th spot as he is running behind Flavor. Flavor runs wide. Ozda shoots up to the inside, but Flavor on the outside is able to put the power down a little bit earlier. It's a draft train down the straightaway. Zola is behind Watto. He looks to the outside. Williams, McLaren, as McLaren's already trying to recover from that restart incident. And it looks like under braking he'll have the nose ahead, but Watto's not going to give him the preferred lane of choice. They go through the chicane, and Zola exits in 5th. Watto, though, in 6th on the medium tires. It's looking very good for him to start, as Shoe and James John have come to the pits to repair damage. But at the front, Dave Ewart is hounding Jigsaw. He is right there within about half a second of Jigsaw. Now loses most of that time in the chicane, but in the straights, that Mercedes is a force to be reckoned with. Lowe is fighting with Elfin Starfish for the 3rd position right now. DRS hasn't been enabled this lap. That won't happen for another lap. Bullbeast gets by Dragon for the 9th spot. So while one McLaren has been fighting in podium positions, one of them is not. Ozda's around, and Ozda has had an instant there in Ascari, and this will drop him out of the points-paying position, back down to 13th. I don't see damage to that car. He should be able to continue, but frustration irregardless. DRS has been enabled, and the good news for Jigsaw, just barely, he has outran DRS from Dave Ewart. That's not the case for Starfish and Lowe, though, and John has crashed out. James John has crashed out in Sector 2, and that is a full-course safety car. An accident in qualifying, an accident in the race. It has been nothing but frustration to cap off James John's season in the Aston Martin. Now only 14 cars left. For Shu, though, this is good news because it will give him a chance to catch back up to the back of the grid. For Jigsaw, a little bit of frustration because he had just raced his way out of DRS range from Dave Ewart, and now he's going to have to do it all over again. The good news, though, is that as this continues, it continues to lengthen the amount of wear that they're able to put on these soft tires without issue. Although I guess if you did choose to go ahead and pit, you could, but pitting now, you would drop so far back because this field's really not all that spread out from 1st to 12th. This will also be a small benefit for Ozda as well, because he'll be able to suck right back up to the back of the grid without issue. Yeah, our top two are not going to pit. Elf and Starfish thinks about pitting, so does Low, but neither of them commit. Zola will pit, though, out of the top 5 positions. But it looks like he's the only one. Everyone else is staying out. So a bold strategy by the McLaren of XRL Zola. They will take off those soft tires and put on fresh medium rubber on that McLaren. And he's going to return to the track in 13th position. And he should catch up to the back of the grid relatively quickly here, I imagine. I imagine he will, at least. Might not be going green until about lap 15, though. Zola will close to the back of the field real quickly here, I imagine, but Shu is still another 14 seconds out. Here we are, Zola. Now Ozda has caught the back of the grid, and Zola will catch them here on the back straight away. Shu still 14 seconds, so yeah, not going to go green yet. It will be not until lap 15. And Ozda is pitting now, and they're putting soft tires on that machine, so he's going to be now dropped to dead last on the circuit. So Ozda saying that he had hit the wall, they needed to repair damage. So Ozda, one of the fastest men all day today, now relegated to the back of the grid and has to rush to catch the back of the field before we go green. There we are. Ozda now has caught the back of the grid. There's the word officially. Safety car will be coming in this lap. So Jigsaw has led the field to the green on a restart once already today. Now he has to do it again against the same two people. Dave Ewart and Elfin Starfish, with Low in 4th and Watto in 5th on medium tires, are now likely going to be better than leaders. Green flag coming out into the air, and Jigsaw really waited a long time to get going, and Dave Ewart is stuck roughing it up with Elfin Starfish for 2nd as Jigsaw's already opening up the gap. Here comes Low with that superior straight line speed, and the AlphaTauri to the inside of the Haas, neck and neck for 3rd position, neck and neck for 2nd, and now Low gets knocked sideways, goes nearly off circuit. He makes contact, blocks wheels. There's an instant farther back. That's 2 Red Bulls. Both Red Bulls go right to dead last. And Ozda, in a series of 2 corners, goes right up to 10th as Low is going to go around the inside and get by Starfish into the podium position. Starfish dive bombs to the inside of the AlphaTauri into the 2nd chicane. Can't keep it there. Low holds on to third. Now Starfish has to worry about Watto behind in fifth. McLaren's Dragon and Zola 8th and 9th. Ozza's gained by Shu behind them. So Ozza now sets his sights onto the McLaren. The one right ahead, Zola is on soft. The one ahead is on worn mediums, and he is going on the outside of the worn soft tires that is on the McLaren. Ozda is going to follow Zola through and easily use the draft to pass Dragon. Now he puts pressure on Zola going through Ascari. Zola runs wide, couldn't handle the pressure. Ozda shoots by. Ozda goes from dead last to 8th in just a lap. Zola doesn't want to leave it like that though. He's going to fight back on the outside, neck and neck as they head into Parabolica. And Ozza is going to hold the position for now. Zola trying to cut back by. We know the McLaren is better on straightaway speed and acceleration. He's looking to the outside. Ozza's like, okay, fine. You want to pass me? You can go on the outside. Drag race down the straightaway. And it's going to go to Ozda by the looks of it. A little bit of contact between the two. But Ozda has the position for good. Beastian has to pit back there in 14th spot to repair damage on that start. Bullbeast fighting with Watto. So Haas now running 4th and 6th, going to be 4th and 5th as Bullbeast commits to that dive, going into the second chicane, easily overtakes Watto. So the soft tires still seem to be a little bit better than the mediums that Williams have right now. And it's a little bit farther back from this. Oh, and Lowe! That's Lowe! Has just had an accident! And that's a safety car, and both AlphaTauris are out. And it seems like every team that has been involved in any sort of championship fight over the last few races is now out of it. Lowe out of the race. As this event just continues to get curiouser and curiouser. And now we are down to 13 drivers. And for Beastian, this is great news for him. He'll be able to suck up to the back of the grid. But for the leaders, does anyone elect to pit? Yes, sir. Yes. Here comes Jigsaw. Here comes Dave Ewart. Here comes Elfin. Starfish is actually going to stay out on circuit. Here comes Bullbeast. Here comes everyone, basically, who's not on medium tires and isn't Elfin, Starfish, or Ozda. So now Ozda's going to cycle back to the front. Chubby Spark is going to stay out on his set of tires. He pitted a few caution flags ago. But this is really going to upend the grid quite a bit. Because Jigsaw, who's been leading most of this race, now he's on medium rubber. And he's going to be in 7th behind Flavor on very worn tires. Ozda, who's on extremely fresh sauce, is going to be 2nd all of a sudden. And now for the first time today, since about lap 11 in the dev race, someone who is not XRL Jigsaw is leading in the an XRL division, the Realistic Series. As Starfish leads, Ozda, Zola, Shu, Chubby Spark, Flavor, and the rest of the field is rushing to catch up to the back of the grid, but we're probably not going to go green until about lap 19 by the looks of it. But this has absolutely upended the entire order of the race, but we've not had any long green flag runs after that first yellow flag to really see where everything's going to pan out. We've not even gotten to any long periods where DRS can be used for any significant period of time. So Jigsaw's now caught the back of the grid. Watto making a pit now. So Watto wants to come in and repair damage, and they want to take off the soft tires and get onto a set of mediums instead. Interesting decision. This will put Watto in 13th behind Beastian now, though. 12th and 13th have not yet caught the rear of the grid, but we are anticipating both of them to do so this lap, and will go green coming on to lap 19. So yeah, the entire field's caught up, and there's the word officially. Safety car will be coming in this lap. So Elfin Starfish, who has been near the front on every restart, now is in a different position. He is going to be the one at the front. But second is Ozda, who's been one of the fastest drivers all day, and third is Zola, who is without a doubt in the fastest car all day. Starfish is going to have an absolute handful, and if not to make things worse, but Starfish is on very worn soft tires. Oz is on relatively fresh softs, and Zola's on slightly less fresh mediums. So even if he beats them on the run down to turn 1, he's still going to be hounded by that Aston Martin and that McLaren for many laps until he inevitably has to pit out of the lead. The best thing that Starfish can hope for is that, oh, and Beastins gets a penalty for colliding with Dragon at the back of the grid. And there is damage, so this did happen. This wasn't a game glitch, it did happen. Starfish fires out Parabolica with speed as we go green flag once more here. Ozda trying to hold off Zola. Starfish timed that masterfully, but already the McLaren and the Aston Martin are barreling down on the Haas down the straightaway. There's movements all across the grid going on. Ozda is going to try and hold on to second. Slides really wide. There's an Alpine nearly off circuit. That's Jigsaw does go off circuit. He's going to fall back to 7th behind BG Bullbeast in the Haas now. And now Bullbeast is going to try and go around the outside of Flavor. That turns into the inside going into turn 3 here in the chicane. Hard under braking, dives, easy overtake for position. Nothing that Flavor can do to fight back. Actually will leave him open to attack from Jigsaw. Shu now trying to do something to Zola in third. These two are on comparable tires, both on mediums, while Ozza on the softs is already trying to run down Starfish on very worn softs. At the front, Ozza already within a third of a second, within a quarter, within a fifth, but under braking, he's not going to make a move yet as they're heading to Ascari. He needs to be careful in the aerodynamic wake, and Ascari is a very aerodynamically sensitive sector. He exits right behind the Haas. He's right behind. He goes to the outside, side by side for a lead between an Aston Martin and a Haas on the run down the Parabolica. Under braking, the Haas sends it in deeper, but Ozda in the Aston Martin has the outside line. He'll be able to put the power down at a little bit more leisure. He slides in front of the Haas. The Haas tucks in right behind the Aston Martin. Now the Haas fights back on the outside. Drag race. Starfish leads that lap, but Ozda in the Aston Martin has the inside line. Neck and neck for a lead as they go into turn number 1 through the chicane. The Haas gets the nose of the car ahead. He runs the Aston Martin off the circuit. Here comes the McLaren of Zola. Zola's going to capitalize and sneak by Ozda, but now Zola is the one who is making a move on Starfish for the lead. Ozda now has the Alpine of Shu faster than everyone. Shu goes to the inside of 2 cars and overtakes both of them in turn 2 alone and loses both of those spots immediately in the chicane. He spins out of the top positions. Shu now falls out down to 9th spot after that spin, so it's back to Starfish. Zola, Ozda fighting for top position. Starfish leads, Zola second. Zola is one of the heads of XRL. He's not going to stand for any aggressive defense from Starfish. He won't stand for it. If he gets pushed off the line, Chubby Spark is at DNF Vector in Sector 2. It's a virtual safety car. And that is the car that the champion of the series is in, who had won the championship with. So yeah, everyone who's been involved in the championship fight over the last few weeks seems to be knocked out of this event, with one exception, that is the remaining Williams still in this race of Watto. Still under virtual safety car for the moment. And this is going to get very interesting because the entire top 5 have now all closed right into each other. DRS enabled in the middle of the straightaway, already side by side. Zola and Ozza side by side. Ozza going to look to the inside, side by side, neck and neck. They're 2 by 2 for the top 5 positions. And as they come out of the chicane, they barely keep and now begins to look in sight on Elfin Starfish once more for a lead. How much longer can Starfish hold onto this position? His tires are chewing and jumping themselves away around the circuit, and everyone behind has been faster. It's only been their mistakes and their battles with each other that have kept that Haas in the lead. All right, coming to the party right now is Chubby Spark. Chubby, go ahead and include your audio. I'm sorry for ignoring you for a bit. Go ahead and include your audio. What happened that took you out back there? Alright, do you think you'll be able to get these issues resolved in time for the X2 race tomorrow? Alright. Well, thanks for being willing to jump in and be honest with what's happened. It's a shame to see you knocked out like this in the champion's car. Alright, Flavor gets knocked off circuit in a fight with Dave Ewart there. Now Flavor falls to the 8th spot on the track. Starfish holds on behind Zola, but how much longer can he do so? Haas's are running 3rd and 4th, but the cars and drivers ahead of them are significantly faster and better set up. Zola loses a bunch of time in that second chicane, and it lets Starfish close back in. I think Starfish is going to have DRS on the McLaren down this second DRS straight, the first of the two back straightaways here. But will it be enough for him to get back ahead of the McLaren, because the McLaren has such significant straight line speed? And we've talked with the Haas drivers before. They say that even with DRS, sometimes they can't even keep up with the McLarens or the AlphaTauris in a straight line. That seems to be the case here. It does not look like Starfish has the car tires under him in order to get back even alongside, let alone by that McLaren ahead. There's another Haas there in 4th. That's Bullbeast, and he's just trying to use DRS to stay ahead of Jigsaw, who is in 5th. Jigsaw has to deal with Dave Ewart behind, so from 2nd to 6th is a bit of a DRS train right now. And then behind that, Worsen is 7th, and look at this, Flavor, Watto, Dragon, Shoe, all on top of each other. It's a gaggle of cars all over the circuit here. Jigsaw has a run on Bullbeast for the 4th position. Drag race down the straightaway. It looks like that's going to go in his favor, as Flavor is going to overtake Worsen for the 7th spot farther back. Just barely, as he gets on the throttle a little bit slower than Worsen. Flavor is along with Starfish is on the oldest tires on the grid, but now he's ahead. Now Watto and Worsen fight for the 8th and 9th position as they round turn 2. Contact between both of them. Worsen on the inside, Watto on the outside. As they head into the second chicane, contact. Alpine of Shoe says, I want no part of this. He takes the runoff. He'll willingly give up the positions. That lets Dragon have a chance at Worsen. Ozzy gets a time penalty at the front, but he's already nearly completely outran that time penalty alone. And now Worsen falls to 10th behind Dragon, as Watto has a head of steam and DRS on Flavor ahead. Dave Ewart gets by Bullbeast there for 5th, so even with DRS, the Haas's just have no capability around this circuit here, it would seem. Bullbeast right behind Dave Ewart right now, and Dave has just barely fallen out of DRS range from Jigsaw ahead. Jigsaw putting mad pressure on Starfish. Starfish just trying desperately to stay within DRS range, and Zola to use it as a defense against the Alpine. The answer, does he have DRS as a defense? Well, even if he does, it doesn't matter, because it's already a drag race. The Alpine is already outpacing the Haas in the straightaway, and as they go side by side, they're already not even side by side as they get into the braking zone. Jigsaw, who led so much of the early section, is already up into 3rd and has already started to barrel down on Zola for 2nd spot in this event. Shoe comes into the pits in 11th, so he may have damaged the front wing of that car after bouncing over the curbs trying to avoid an incident earlier. Jigsaw in 3rd, Starfish looking to the inside, but Starfish is on significantly worn soft tires and will have to get off those rubbers sooner rather than later. Farther back, Flavor leads Watto for the 7th spot. Watto with the Williams does not seem to have what it takes to get by the Red Bull yet, but as I say that, he is right behind them and is in perfect position to get an easy DRS overtake down this first of the 2 back straightaways. There's also Dragon behind. Dragon doesn't have to worry about DRS worry about field at this point. He's already saved enough. Dave gets by Starfish farther up, but Starfish gets back by him, going through. Oh, wow. I thought Flavor was going to lose it there for a moment, but he kept it together. Dave and Starfish still neck and neck, continue to fight for 4th and 5th positions. Bullbeast has now fallen behind, so the Mercedes has gotten by both of the Haas cars. As Haas continues to completely fall off a cliff as this race goes on. Now, in Starfish's favor, he has DRS down the straight. He can use this to extend the life of the tires just a little bit more and a little bit more. The thing is, it's just really not helping in any way that he really needs when it comes to long-term strategy, I imagine. You're going to want to get off those softs sooner rather than later and throw on mediums to last to the end of this race. Jigsaw hanging on behind Zola for second. Ozda outrunning both of them in the Aston Martin right now. Jigsaw right there putting mad pressure on the McLaren, but just cannot seem to get alongside of him. He'll have a chance here, though. DRS coming up shortly, and that's Ozda! Ozda has spun out of the lead! He's still alive! He's still going! But Ozda, who is dominated on pace, is now spun and falls out of the top spot, goes all the way down to 9th, worse and very nearly swerves into him. And Ozda falls to 10th, so Zola and Jigsaw now fighting for the lead of this race, and Jigsaw cannot get by Zola even with DRS. It's just knocked on well for Jigsaw. He wants to go back-to-back wins today. And honestly, I think he's trying to go for 3 victories today at Monza. Zola just wants to get 1 victory for McLaren. His teammate Dragon hyped up himself and whatever team he was in so much, it looks like it's up to Zola to try and deliver that result. He's trying desperately to get McLaren what would be their only victory in the Realistic series thus far. Jigsaw just wants to try and go back-to-back and go into tomorrow's X3 race with as much confidence as possible. Closing in under draft, Jigsaw's on slightly fresher rubber than Zola, and that will help Jigsaw as this battle continues. Right now, 1st and 2nd are 2 seconds ahead of Davey Martin 3rd. Bullbeast gets by, and Starfish, with those worn tires, has slid off there in the chicane. I think it's it. Starfish, there's no choice around it. He has to pit either this lap or the lap right afterwards. He can't keep staying out like this. I'm going to lose my voice because this race has been absolutely mad. Zola continues to lead over Jigsaw after Ozda has spun at the top of the circuit. Jigsaw has DRS he can use. He's within DRS range of Zola, but not close enough to get alongside. Oh, Zola, big slide coming onto the first of the 2 back straightaways. Jigsaw has DRS. He's barely down on the McLaren. He's within 4/10, within a third, within a quarter under braking, but can't get alongside the McLaren, and Jigsaw gets a time penalty going into Ascari. Closes up though, and Zola really sideways coming out of Ascari. That gives Jigsaw a look to the inside. Drag race, Alpine versus McLaren. The McLaren's like, okay, I'll give it to you. Starfish is out. Starfish has had an accident now coming out of Ascari. Yellow flag going in that sector. Virtual safety car. Virtual safety car comes out, and Starfish is out of the event. Christ alive. I can barely keep up with all the crap that's gone on today. Bullbeast, Dragon, Flavor, all pitting under this VSC, and this will work well for him because this reduces the amount of time they actually lose under this. Ozda's going to pit as well. He wants off those soft tires. We'll probably get onto a different set of softs and try and make those last to the end, if not a set of mediums. Flavor and Dragon on medium tires will probably run those to the end of this race. And Flavor now in 6th position. Bullbeast now in 7th. Dragon in 8th. Ozda 9th. Shoe still 10th. Not quite caught the pit lane, but he will not pit. He's going to stay on these 7 mediums that he just recently got on. Same with Beastian, who's in 11th. So 11 drivers left. Only the top 10 get points. And then obviously there's a point for pole position. Doesn't matter where pole finishes. And there's also a point for fastest lap in the race. Shu, drive-through penalty for speeding into the virtual safety car for Shu, who's in 9th position. It goes from bad to worse. Bullbeast now overtakes Flavor immediately and goes up into the 6th spot. They're 22 seconds out from 5th place, Mr. Worsen right now. The fight, though, is for the race lead. Jigsaw leads. Zola is 2nd. Zola is on worse tires, but he's got a faster car in a straight line. He has a car that should be better in the corners, and he's going to have DRS. Will he be able to get alongside the Alpine going into the braking zone? DRS pops open for the McLaren. He's already started to close down within a third, within a quarter, a fifth, a tenth. He's side by side as they're coming down to the braking zone, and the McLaren has the noses barely ahead, runs the Alpine a little bit wide going into one. Alpine tries to push the McLaren wide, doesn't matter, the McLaren holds on, Zola back in the lead, and while these two are fighting, it's letting Dave Ewart, Jigsaw's rival from the start of this race, come back into play. So Dave Ewart is looking to try and make things a little bit more chaotic here, might try and make it from a two-way fight for a lead into a menage a trois. Jigsaw hangs out right behind Zola. He will have DRS on the McLaren in the subsequent straightaway. Zola really seems to be struggling, getting the power down and keeping the car straight coming out of some of these corners. Jigsaw and Dave Ewart will both have DRS on the McLaren going down the straight. Jigsaw's going to go around the outside. Zola gives him just enough room to pull alongside, but he has the inside line choice. Jigsaw realizes, backs off, and that's going to compromise Dave Ewart's momentum as well. They're both going to stay second and third for the moment, but this will be amazing because they're both going to have a lot of DRS on the McLaren going down the main straightaway. Instant farther back. That is, who is that? That's Watto, who has just spun out of the top 5 positions, and Shu gets a penalty for corner cutting as well. Sector 1 incident, well, that's already been resolved, wherever it was. Zola leads, Jigsaw, Dave Ewart has DRS, they're barreling down the McLaren. The McLaren defends the inside, Jigsaw and the Alpine goes outside. It should be an easy overtake, if not for a fact that Zola still has the inside line going into the corner. The McLaren gets run off circuit side contact, the Alpine runs sideways as well. Dave Ewart has nowhere to go, can't capitalize, he's still stuck in third position. Jigsaw now leads, but he's got 2 tires to the inside grass. Zola trying to go around the outside. Jigsaw comes over a block, diving into the braking zone, into the chicane. Zola, Jigsaw side by side still, and they can't complete the pass. Jigsaw still has the position over Zola. Dave Ewart continues to run in third position. He closes in on both of them, but he just has not been able to get by both of them. The DRS zones are hilariously enough are just not big enough. He's got a big run on Zola this time, as Zola had a big hiccup trying to get out to the straightaway. Doesn't matter. DRS is in Zola's favor. He's opened it up. He's already closing in with speed on the Alpine. He's not going to get close enough to go alongside into Ascari. You'd have to go be crazy to try to go side by side into Ascari. Zola backs off in Ascari. Dave Ewart has a run now, and this should let Jigsaw open up the gap and walk up with the lead once more. Jigsaw has a 3/4 second lead over Zola. Zola trying to keep Dave Ewart and the Mercedes behind. The McLaren seems to be a little bit faster in Sector 3 and Sector 1, but in Sector 2, the Alpine has a significant advantage over anything that the McLaren can do, and the Mercedes probably could keep pace with the Alpine, but just can't get by the McLaren to make it happen. Now, both of them barreling down with speed on the Alpine into the braking zone. But Zola continues to hold the spot over the Mercedes. The Mercedes actually runs his wing into the rear tires of Zola. You gotta hope that there's no damage to that Mercedes. Zola closed in significantly on Jigsaw that time, though. So right now the battle is in Jigsaw's favor. So it is McLaren versus Alpine here. Jigsaw did not have a good run entering the chicane, but Zola had a bad run exiting it. And again, Dave is faster, but cannot get alongside Zola. Zola, not a great driver when it comes to qualifying pace normally, but his strategy and his defense is impeccable. It's made him a force to be reckoned with in the X2 division. He may be rated as one of the slowest drivers, but the performances he has put on, assuming he makes it to the end of the races, have not been that slow. Zola still there, just within the Alpine. He's closer to the Alpine this time than he was last lap. We might see the McLaren get back alongside the Alpine once more, going down the main straightaway. Other thing to consider is that these top 3, maybe top 4 as well if you factor in Mr. Worsen, they all will likely have to pit one more time before this race is over. I don't know if their tires are going to last another 22 laps. Zola is right there behind Jigsaw. He looks to the inside. Jigsaw says, hey, look, I can't beat that. He's not even going to try and fight. Dave Ewart does not want to try and get alongside the Alpine yet, and Dave spins on his own behind. It's now back to a 2-way fight for a lead as Dave slides out, controls all of his own there, coming out of the chicane. So now they come running down to turn 3 here. Realistically, it would be turn 4, but I'm counting it as turn 3 because I'm stupid, I guess. Zola has the position. Jigsaw wants it back, and with Dave Ewart now 4 seconds out, it's going to go back in Zola's favor for the moment, but DRS is going to kick in just after this corner, and Jigsaw can start closing back in on the McLaren. Good exit for the McLaren that time. He can use that as a defense. Jigsaw closing back in within a third, within a quarter, within a fifth, within a tenth. He's on the inside. They're going to go side by side to Ascari, who backs out. And it's going to have to be Jigsaw. He does not want to send it too hard in, but he's betting on the McLaren having a poor exit. That's exactly what happens. Jigsaw sucks right back up to the rear of the McLaren as they go down the second back straightaway again. Now it's nose to tail as we're on route. This is honestly could be one of the best races we have ever had in the Realistic Series, ever. And it is amazing. We don't have to worry about points. We don't have to worry about championships. It's just drivers fighting a good hard fight, and it's absolutely incredible. Look at this here. Jigsaw coming back around the outside of Zola using the DRS Alpine back in front of the McLaren. And now they go back into the next chicane. Ooh, this time Jigsaw had a really, really good acceleration. He's actually opening the gap up significantly, but the McLaren immediately starts closing in. The McLaren is a way better car. I think Jigsaw, though, is a better driver on pace, but Zola is a smarter driver. This is a very interesting scenario we're seeing because Jigsaw, though, I think Jigsaw has the advantage when it comes to driver skill over a normal lap, and I think Jigsaw has the advantage when it comes to tires, but Zola has a better car, and I think Zola is a smarter driver right now. They're both going to be smarter than me, though, to be fair. I can't figure out this game for the life of me most of the time. Of note, though, Jigsaw has a time penalty against him. Zola does not, and that's one other thing that does work in Zola's favor, as long as he can stay within DRS range of this Alpine. Oh, but that McLaren ran really wide out of Ascari there. I have to wonder if maybe Zola has burned the best off of his tires. If that happens and Jigsaw can get outside DRS range, he will start peeling away from the McLaren. I say that, but the McLaren is still utilizing draft on that back straightaway. There's no DRS on that second back straightaway, but the draft is still there, and it's enough to let the McLaren close the gap down. Now DRS kicks in again down the main straightaway. He's already cut down to within a third of a second, within a quarter of a second, within. He's gonna dive, a late breaking diving maneuver, Danny Ricciardo style, and he's by! I did not see that move coming, but Zola came from about 6/10 back and threw it up in there, Daniel Ricciardo style, and took the lead from the Alpine. Now the Alpine tries to make the crossover happen. He looks to the inside. Is he going to commit? The answer, no. He won't commit this time, not through this chicane. But if these two keep fighting like this, Dave Ewart, who spun out of this fight for lead earlier, is going to come right back into the fray. Oh, big twitch by Zola there, and that lets Jigsaw suck right back up behind the McLaren. He's only about a third of a second back. Jigsaw should easily be able to make a DRS overtake stick. How does Zola defend? Zola holds a very middle lane. Jigsaw not going to go side by side into Ascari this time. He tried doing that before and had to back out. He doesn't want to do it again. But he's right there behind the McLaren. I think, although Zola has a better car, he's not able to maximize the usage of that car. Jigsaw is getting 100% out of a car that can only deliver 80, instead of Zola, who is only getting 80% out of a car that can deliver 100. Coming out of Parabolica once more. It'll be 20 laps to go at the line. The question is still, can these drivers make it to the end on the tires they're at? And Davey Moore continues to close on this battle with pace and with speed. Jigsaw DRS around the outside, and it will be an easy overtake in his favor back in front of Zola. This is a long, prolonged two-driver chess match between Jigsaw and Zola. The crazy thing is that if they keep up like this, Dave Ewart's going to come into the fray, and it's going to become a three-way battle of checkers instead of chess again. Zola within half a second still of that Alpine. Instant farther back. Azda spins coming out of Ascari, and that will drop him back out of the points. A little bit over half a second in Jigsaw's favor as they come onto the second DRS straightaway. Zola uses DRS to close it back in to about a quarter, but won't send it into Ascari. He'll just hang out behind the Alpine, but this could still work out because he'll be right behind him in theory, as they go through Parabolica and can use DRS to get ahead without issue. Dave Ewart has had an incident and has now fallen from being 1 second out to 9 seconds out of this fight. So it's back to only being a 2-car fight. Zola did not have a good run through Parabolica, though. He's a little bit closer than when he made that dive bomb earlier. Is he going to try and go for another dive bomb? 5/10. No, he's not closing at the same rate he was earlier. He is there, but I don't think he's going to commit to a move. He'll just stay hanging out behind the Alpine for the moment. Ooh, big twitch as the car bounced over the curbs there, and that will work out in Jigsaw's favor. As these drivers continue to fight for the position, Alpine not a very good run through that second chicane that time, though, and that let Zola close the gap just a little bit. It's back within half a second. There are other fights going on. Dragon and Flavor are having a very spirited fight, but realistically, this is the culmination of the rivalry between the two, as Dragon and Flavor are fighting hard for the 5th position. And if 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th have to pit, this battle here for 5th will become the battle for the race win. Oh, Christ alive! The McLaren with a gigantic jump over the curves, and now his Flavor sucked right back up behind him. So McLaren's battling on 2 different parts of the track. Azza, instant, coming out of Parabolica. He's not gotten away yet. He needs to start moving fast. Looks like he's gotten underway now. Flavor has DRS, but does not have what it takes to really beat Dragon on track like this. Flavor not been great at 1v1 battles, but he's definitely trying to learn against Dragon here, and there's still plenty of laps left he can take to learn. Zola right behind the Alpine, but again, another lap where the Alpine has the advantage. I think Zola has just pushed those tires too far. His tires are 4 laps older than what Jigsaw has, and I think he's really paying for it. Jigsaw might be able to nurse these tires to the end. I don't know. Oh, and Flavor's just gotten by Dragon down the straight because Dragon is coming to the pits. So Flavor now inherits 5th position and might, no guarantee, but might be able to walk out of here with a win if the top 4 drivers all have to pit. Zola within half a second of Jigsaw as they come onto the first of the 2 back straightaways once more. But even with DRS, his exit was so poor, it's so bad, that the gap actually extended in Jigsaw's favor until the very end of the straightaway. Dragon, now on soft tires, is in 9th position. Zola right behind Jigsaw once more, now within 1/3 of a second, within 1/4 of a second under braking. Won't send it to the inside Parabolica because he wants to have DRS and draft when they start onto the main straightaway. Jigsaw with the fresher tires and cleaner air gets a better exit, but Zola sucks at McLaren right back up behind the Alpine. Looks to the inside, neck and neck for a lead once more. Zola ahead of Jigsaw. Oh, Haas, instant, that's Bull Beast. Coming out of Ascari. Worsen is just pitted out 4th spot, so this promotes Flavor up to 4th now. So we know that Worsen could not make it to the end on the tires that he had. What about our top 3? Shu, out of it. DNF coming out of Ascari. No yellow flag. We may have burned through all the yellow flags that were allowed in the race. Bull Beast is out. Bull Beast retires in pit lane. So Shu is out, Bull Beast is out now. As the fight for a lead continues between Zola and Jigsaw, but Flavor has now become an outside threat, an existential crisis for this win fight, because the longer these 2 fight, Flavor might still be able to back into a win. Coming in party now is BG Bull Beast. Bull Beast, go ahead and include your audio. I saw an instant as we see their overtake for a lead. We saw an instant there, Bull Beast, and then you retired in the pits. What happened? Bull Beast, can you hear me? Alright, well, until I hear a word from Bull Beast, Bull Beast says I lost the car. Alright, it's a shame, mate, because it looked like you were en route to get points. Out of curiosity, Bull Beast, do you think you're going to end up in another Haas next season, though, for Realistic? Probably, yes. Alright, thank you, Bulbies, for being able to jump in. It's a shame to have to talk to you like this in the middle of the race. Also in the party, we have SFR Shu. Shu, go ahead, include your audio. Accident there coming out of Ascari, what happened?
I just hit the curb, then hit the grass, and then hit the wall.
Oh, and Ozza crashes right in front of the leaders! Oh, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry to cut you off like that. Okay, well, it looked like you were having a rough time. It's been a rough few races. Hopefully, next game, kind of a good positive reset, and you'll be able to get going again under better scenarios.
Yeah, well, I'm having an okay run in Dev. I've had 3 podiums and 2 DNFs, so this is my first DNF in Realistic. So hopefully in the next game, I'll be able to do something better. But we never know. We don't even know what the game's going to be like.
Alright. Well, shame to see you knocked out like this, but thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us, mate. Alright, the fight for the win continues. Jigsaw and Zola have kind of calmed down their fight between each other for a bit, and as long as they run nose to tail like this, it lets them extend their gap over Flavor to the point that if they pit, there is a possibility that they could still hold position over Flavor right now. But if Zola closes back in and starts fighting with Jigsaw and Ernest for position, then Flavor comes back into the fray. Jigsaw, though, has a time penalty. Zola has worn tires he's trying to cope with right now. Flavor in 4th has the best tire management in the entire grid, but that's countered with just not a lot of pace. Beastian has had an instant there, and now he has gone around in the chicane that promotes Dragon back up into 7th. Zola now is back within a third of a second, within a 5th under braking as they go into Parabolica. So Zola kind of backs off for a lap or 2 and sucks right back up to Jigsaw. That's enough to let him get DRS. He's going to be side by side with the Alpine into the braking zone again. He's got DRS. Which lane does he choose? He's going to take the inside lane, deny the entry to the chicane to the Alpine. The Alpine tries to commit with the better tires, but yeah, they're better tires, but they're still got a lot of wear on them. He couldn't push it too hard. Zola gets back ahead of Jigsaw now. So Zola now back ahead of Jigsaw, and Jigsaw gets 2 tires into the grass shortly afterwards, so the gap goes back in Zola's favor, but he can't outrun DRS. Really slow for the McLaren going into that second chicane. The Alpine sucks right up behind him once more. The two continue to fight. If it ends up just being between these two like this to the end of this race, Zola has the advantage because he does not have a time penalty while Jigsaw does. But we still don't know if the top 3 will have to pit for tires before the end of this race or not. If they do, then Flavor becomes the potential favorite to win this race. Through Ascari, the McLaren just not able to carry nearly as much speed. The McLaren makes up all his speed in the straightaways in sectors 1 and 3. Jigsaw makes up all his speed in sector 2. But the moment that DRS comes into play in favor of the Alpine is so much better off than the McLaren. Big slide by the McLaren as they go into Parabolica. Totally compromises line. Here comes Jigsaw with a huge head of steam in the Alpine. But is he close enough to get alongside? The DRS effect is much stronger for the McLaren than it is in the Alpine. I don't think the McLaren is, yes he is, the Alpine is going to make a dive to the inside, gets alongside, denies the inside of the first corner to the McLaren, but the McLaren still gets down the power coming out of the chicane and holds the position over Jigsaw. So despite having way worse tires and the fact that Jigsaw is generally a faster driver, it seems like Zola has gotten the edge back ahead in this fight with about 13 laps to go. But as I say that, Jigsaw keeps sucking and closing back in on Zola aggressively here in Sector 2. All of Sector 2 just goes so much in favor of the Alpine as long as he's not overdriving the car. Oh god, another big twitch by the McLaren. And already Jigsaw's back within 6/10. He's got DRS. He's flying down the straight on the run down to Ascari. He won't be alongside, but he'll be in a good position to suck right back up behind him as they go down the second back straightaway again. Half a second, now less than a third of a second. He's within about a quarter of a second of the McLaren. This could work out well. He'll need to time it right, but DRS should still be in favor of the Alpine after they come out of Parabolica here. Yellow flag farther back. Ozza, another instant there in Sector 2. Down the main straightaway. Jigsaw right behind the McLaren. He's got DRS. Which way does he go? He goes to the outside, throws the nose of the car ahead. He completes the overtake as they dive into the chicane once more. So Jigsaw once again takes the lead. Monza's crashed out in Sector 2. And then there were 8. Coming to the party right now is XRL Ozda. Ozda, go ahead and include your audio. Looked like those last few laps, the car just completely let out on you. What happened? Ozda, can you hear me? And Flavor has to pit. So something has gone wrong with Flavor. He has had to pit. That's it. It's now a 2-man fight for the win between Jigsaw and Zola. All right, there we are. Ozda, it looked like there were several incidents that happened with you over those last 5 laps or so before finally getting knocked out. What happened?
I think basically I was just losing my concentration quite a bit. Obviously, I wasn't fighting with anyone. I was nowhere near anyone, so my mind started wandering, and that's what caused all the spins.
Alright, well, it was rough though, mate, because obviously you were one of the fastest drivers out there while fighting. Kind of a shame that ended up falling apart for you like this late in the event.
Well, we always have next season to push.
I understand the great Ferrari strategy, I see. Well, thanks for being willing to jump in. You put on a decent show for us, Ozda.
Thank you.
11 laps to go here. Alpine versus McLaren, as these two, and to a lesser extent Dave Ewart in third, fighting. DRS in favor of the McLaren. They're side by side going through the chicane. It's going to be a drag race on exit, and that drag race will be in the favor of the McLaren. The McLaren beats the Alpine continually in Sector 1. It's Sector 2 that goes back in favor of the Alpine, and this time it looks like the Alpine is going to also have DRS going down the second DRS straightaway. Zola going out of his way, intentionally slowing himself down to try and compromise Jigsaw's line, but all he's doing is letting Dave Ewart come back to the fray. Fourth place, ETE Watto is 25 seconds out of this fight. There's no way that he's able to factor into it, because even if the top 3 have to pit, his tires aren't going to last to the end either. And Worsen is another 2.5 seconds out. So it doesn't matter how we look at it, it's these 3 men, Zola, Jigsaw, and Dave, who are going to have it. Jigsaw uses DRS and gets back in front of the McLaren as they head into Ascari. But again, Jigsaw has a time penalty, Zola does not. So overall, the battle is in Zola's favor. Jigsaw needs to figure out a way to make Zola make a mistake, cough up, have an instant. Otherwise, this victory is going to go in Zola's favor. And the big problem with that is that even if Zola gets a time penalty, Dave Emart's there. He's now within DRS range of these guys. Obviously, if the top 2 have time penalties and Dave doesn't have it, Dave and the Mercedes would have taken a victory. It would be the first victory for McLaren or the first victory for Mercedes this entire season. It would be so incredible to finish off the season for a victory. That's what Dave Ewart are trying to run for. Zola has a big twitch coming out of the chicane, and Dave Ewart's going to power by. I think Zola has burned the best out of his tires, and now Dave is going to try and run down Jigsaw for a potential fight for the win. Problem with that though, Dave is not within DRS range of Jigsaw. Zola is within DRS range of Dave Ewart. If second and third spend too much time fighting, Jigsaw will be able to outrun the time penalty he has. Oh, Dave's closed bin. Dave is just within DRS range of Jigsaw. He is closing down. I think that despite the spin he had earlier on, Dave Ewart has spent enough laps in clean air, not fighting with someone else, that he now has the tire advantage out of the top 3. He is barreling down on Jigsaw as they come into Ascari now. This could be very interesting, because although the McLaren is anticipated to be faster in a straight line, the Mercedes is supposed to be the 3rd best car in a straight line, only behind the McLaren and the AlphaTauri. What can Jigsaw do to defend? Because Dave has no time penalties. Dave has slightly better tires because he has not been fighting and burning them up, going side by side through corners, and Jigsaw pits! Jigsaw pits out of the lead! Jigsaw pitting out of the lead of the race, and now Dave, Ewart, and Zola are left on track to duel it out between themselves. Jigsaw pitting in 3rd. How will he maintain 3rd over Watto? Watto is on worn tires, and there's damage. Jigsaw had to repair damage to the nose of that car, so there is damage. So it was not a tire issue for Jigsaw, but wing damage that Jigsaw had to pit for. So now, Dave Ewart and Zola, it will be either the first victory this season for McLaren or the first victory this season for Mercedes. Which way is it going to go? Both of these drivers fight for their first win for their team, fight for a first win this season, fight for a first win in the realistic career. Dave Ewart has over a second over Zola. Zola on the very worn tires. He's probably burnt the best of them off fighting with the Alpine, and it's letting Dave Ewart walk off of this. Dragon with an instant there in the first chicane, and he is going to fall behind Flavor potentially because of that. Jigsaw in fourth as he's trying to close back in on Watto and get third place back. It was a win, looked like it was so sure for him, but now it's out of the question. Zola, 1.6 seconds out from Dave Ewart right now. He needs to find some way to turn things around to try and get back by Dave. Zola, how bad are the tires right now? Dave Ewart has had a very rough season. 9 DNFs across the entire year, nearly half of the season. But if he can keep it together for these remaining 7 laps, he could walk out of here with a win to cap off this season. His highest finish thus far this year has been 4th. He has not scored a single podium this year. Now he may be en route to his first victory in the Mercedes operation in a race where he is the only Mercedes driver. He is slowly extending the gap between himself and Zola. Third place, Jigsaw is 23 seconds out, and while he is closing on the leaders with speed, he has a time penalty and 23 seconds to close. Jigsaw needs the top 2 to have an accident if he wants a shot at this. For Zola in second, Zola has to hope that the rule of numbers and averages work in his favor and Dave Ewart has a mistake. Otherwise, McLaren is going to end this season without a single victory. McLaren and Mercedes fighting for their first wins in the last race of the season. There's not another one after this. One of them has to wrap it up today. But looking as this is going on like it's going to go to Dave Ewart, the gap between first and second has now expanded to 2.1 seconds. Jigsaw in third has just set the fastest lap point. He is still 22 seconds out. He's taking out about a second a lap, but that's just simply not going to be enough. That's Beastian up ahead. Ooh, big twitch by the Mercedes. But he kept it together. Dave, you gotta be careful. You have 2 seconds to Zola behind. You can't afford to make a mistake like this. No time penalties for the top 2 right now. And that works in Dave's favor. Also working in Dave's favor, it seems like the car is just overall a little bit better over the course of a lap. His tires are not nearly as shot as Zola's are. He's also closing on Beastian in 8th. If he can catch Beastian on a straightaway, he can use him as DRS to try and open the gap between himself and the McLaren in 2nd. But Zola is losing about half a second a lap to Dave Ewart. Most of the other battles on track have pretty much evaporated at this point in the event. Flavor looks like he's going to finish this race in 5th. So an outstanding job for his season as well. Beastian finishing in 8th. Beastian, the driver who has been in most, not all, but most of the races in the Realistic Series, running in Mercedes or Red Bulls, the fastest cars, because he's always been pegged as some of the slowest drivers. But it looks like he's going to walk out here with a good points finish today as well, assuming he can make it to the end. Everyone who finishes this lap, lap 48, will end up earning points for wherever they finish, 90% of the race will have been completed in their favor. The gap between first and second is now opened up to 3.2 seconds. Jigsaw is barreling down on Zola with incredible speed. The big question, though, is will Dave Ewart's tires start falling off in a similar manner to what Zola's is? Because Zola, I really question his ability to make these tires last to the end of this race. Could he have gone too hard for too long fighting with Jigsaw? He is now nearly 3.5 seconds out from your leading Mercedes, Dave Ewart. Even if Dave got a time penalty right now, he would still have the position over Zola. Dragon in 6th is closing down on Flavor in 5th. Flavor, though, is on fresher rubber. Dragon is in a slightly fresher car, a slightly faster car. And Watto's not too far behind from both of them, so we could still see another little scrap for 5th position before this race is over. Dragon has been out-qualified by Flavor, out-raced by Flavor, out-pointed by Flavor, but he wants to just finish on the top 5 and beat him in this final little spat between these two, which have the most impassioned and aggressive rivalry across the entire stint of this season. Dragon's within DRS range of Flavor now, so the fight for 5th is on. Watto is just a little bit less than 3 seconds out from this fight, but not closing with massive speed. As you see that Williams bouncing over the curbs farther back. Worsen gets a time penalty in 4th. Pretty much irrelevant because he's basically running in no man's land right now. Flavor picking up the pace and opens the gap a bit between himself and Dragon in Sector 2. And through Ascari. Now the McLaren, though, sniffs the draft off the Red Bull and starts closing back in down the second of the back straightaways, but is not within DRS range by the time they get to the detection zone. So it looks like this is going to go back in Flavor's favor. Dragon might have burned off the best of his rubber as well because Watto was closing on the McLaren also. The gap between first and second is now over 4 seconds. Dave continues to just slowly open the gap and walk away from Zola. Dragon now within DRS range, within 9/10 of Flavor. Ooh, bounces the McLaren over the curb. Time penalty for Dragon. That means that battle goes in Flavor's favor, and it means that Watto is likely going to take that spot off of Dragon as well. And Dragon is losing ground now to Flavor on track. Fight between those two started at Yas Marina when Dragon was very aggressive and very blunt, not happy with how Flavor had moved aside to let other people by on track at Yas on a late race restart, said that it compromised his race. Flavor responded very aggressively back, saying fine, he wasn't going to just move over on track, and it's really opened up Flavor, really let him overperform. And while Dragon looks like he will still finish in the top 10 in points, Flavor is going to be higher than him in the end of season points. This has been a most fascinating rivalry, though, because it has, without a doubt, sharpened both of these drivers' skills and abilities. Zola is now closing back in on Dave Ewart. The gap went from 4.5 seconds to 3.9. So Zola, in these closing moments, might still have something for your race leader. It's at 4 seconds right now, but it's closed for the first time in several laps. Could Dave's tires be falling off a cliff? It's still at 4 seconds. Zola would have to close at a rate of about 2 seconds a lap. Yeah, it's open. The gap's opening back up. I think Dave still has it. Dave Ewart has not had a podium all season long. It has been a dire, very difficult season for the Mercedes camp all season long. They only got into 100 points for their for the Mercedes team in the Manufacturers Championship last week at Zandvoort. Now they are looking to cap off a very, very rough season with a win. Dave Ewart just needs to survive for a remaining lap and a half. Zola hangs out 4 seconds behind. He's starting to close the gap in, but Dave has the on-track advantage. Zola's taking out now. He's taken out about half a second in Sector 2 alone. Is Zola making a late race charge? And more importantly, is it a charge that has come too late? Zola now within 3.2 seconds of the lead. Jigsaw has another time penalty in third. It doesn't matter. He is closing on the leaders, but he's not close enough to do anything with it. Zola now within 3.3 seconds as they're navigating Sector 3. Coming to the white flag, Dave Ewart leads with a 3.3 second gap. He just needs to circle the circuit one more time. Don't get any time penalties. Sector 2 is where the McLaren closes up the fastest. The problem, though, is that there is no DRS zone in Sector 3, just the very end of the one that starts in Sector 2. So if Zola's going to try and get alongside Dave, he needs Dave to make some big mistakes or get a bunch of time penalties in this final lap. The gap is at 3.8 seconds. It looks like Zola is not able to close it any more than that. Sector 2, this is where Zola closed a lot in the last 2 laps. Here we are, starting to close back down again, but it's still over 3 seconds. I think Dave Ewart's going to have this as long as he does not invalidate. There's only about 4 more corners left for the Mercedes. The Great Satan, Mercedes AMG Petronas, has not won a race this season in the Realistic League. Dave Ewart, as a driver, has not finished on the podium this season. All of that is going to change today because Dave has 1 more corner to navigate, the Parabolica at Italy's Temple of Speed in Monza. He comes out of the Parabolica, puts the power down for a last time. The checkered flag is in sight, and Dave Ewart and the Mercedes will take home his first victory and cap off the season with Zola coming home second. XRL Jigsaw is going to come by third place position. Mr. Worsen will come home fourth, and XRL Flavor is going to come home in the 5th position. There we are now, Flavors by. Alright, and coming into the party are your podium finishers. It has been an outstanding race, to say the least, and an outstanding end to the season. But first, we want to talk with our race winner, Dave Ewart. Dave, go ahead, include your audio. It has been a rough season for the Mercedes camp. No victories, not even coming close to sniffing a victory. Mercedes as a team didn't even get to 100 points in the Manufacturers Championship until 2 weeks ago. You've not had a single podium all season long, and now finally, at Monza, to end the season, you take home your first victory in the Realistic Series. Dave, what do you have to say about that?
That was just really fun. Some really fun moments with Jigsaw and Zola, going 3 wide and straight and stuff like that. So a couple of spins, but obviously lucky I had the Mercedes car underneath me. I was able to just try and keep it on the track and do consistent lap times, and Zola made a wee mistake. I was able to capitalise on it, and that was it.
It's so outstanding to see you, because as you let the McLaren and the Alpine burn their tires off and burn themselves apart, you just gradually closed in and took advantage when they were tired. It was a masterful, intelligent strategy, mate. You should be very, very proud of that run.
I don't know how much of it was strategy. I think it was more the fact I spun twice and had to catch up with them twice, but I'll take it nonetheless.
Alright, congratulations, mate. Well earned, job well done. We also want to talk with our second place finisher, XRL Zola. Zola, second place, best finish that a McLaren car has earned all season long. Sadly, not a win, but you put on one heck of a show with Jigsaw and later with Dave at the end. Was there anything you could have done to that Mercedes? Anything different at all?
To be honest, no offense to Dave, but I didn't care about the race win. I used to love the battle that me and Jigsaw had. It was for like 30 laps. We were back and forth, and we blew our tyres up. That's simple as that. That's what simply what happened there. I was on like 69-70% tyres in the last 4 laps, so I'm never coming back from that. But I just enjoyed the fight. If we were actually league racing in the next one, actually in a proper season where something mattered, we would have probably not fought that much like that. We would have probably saved our stuff to make the move and do it properly, as in where you make the move and you get away. But we were just using our ERS too much. We just kept going back and forth. That's how Dave kept catching up. So Dave just took advantage of us fighting, which is fair play.
Well, second place finish today for you, 7th for Dragon. Without a doubt, Zola, number 1 driver in the McLaren camp. The question, do you think you're going to end up in the McLaren next season? And do you think you can leapfrog from your run today into a better run next season?
Well, for a start, McLaren's going to be like the 3rd or 4th worst car, so it's not even going to be close to being just the thing. But probably, if we are staying together and we're both in the same division part, it'll probably be a Mercedes, because that's the 3rd or 4th best car. It'll be that or a Haas, probably. The worst car on the grid will be a Williams, and the best car on the grid will be a Ferrari, and then Red Bull, and then probably a Merc or a Haas.
Alright, well, either way, Zola, it was a great run and fantastic watching you fight with Jigsaw to the end there, mate. And good job on the second. Shame it wasn't a win, but good job and a great show irregardless. Oops, sorry about that.
Well, just one thing I can say.
Just
say, the top 3 all qualified top 3. First time all
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't notice that. Also, speaking of top 3, we want to talk to Jigsaw, who came home in the 3rd position. Jigsaw in the Alpine. Great fight. You led so many laps today. You led basically the middle third and the final third of the dev race, then immediately took home pole position for Realistic, led the first third of this race, then led a bunch of laps later on, fighting with Zola. Still ended up coming home only 3rd. What do you have to say about your run today, man?
Well, I'll say congratulations to Dave. Loved fighting with Zola. That was probably the most fun I've had all season, just going back and forth with him. And like you said, we were burning our ERS, which is like, how Dave took advantage of that. So it is what it is. Also, Dave's sarcasm got lost on me, because I says, "Oh, why don't we pit?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll pit," and then he didn't. So and then afterwards, he was like, "Oh, I was being sarcastic." I'm like, "All right then, fair enough."
I think what you did anyway.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Even if I hadn't have pitted, I'd have still finished there. But I get an extra point with fastest lap, so yeah, quite happy. To be fair though, if I'd have pitted about 5 laps before, then I probably would have caught back up to Dave and Zola, because their tyres were dead.
Yeah, you do make a good point.
I told you that.
Well, yeah, you did just tell me that.
Him trying to be Brainiac over here, and he told him.
Yeah, but it's true. Like, if I'd have pitted, like...
You're making like you got a brain.
Yeah, you said that, right? And then I was like, yeah, if I'd have pitted when Dave spun, then it would have been better, but whatever, innit?
No, you got X3. It's more important to win tomorrow.
100%. X3.
Yeah, that's the other thing, Jigsaw. Jigsaw, obviously you've made kind of a negative habit of just not being able to finish races, but winning in Dev, 3rd here in Realistic, going into X3 tomorrow, there may be a chance that you could retake the points lead with a win. Do you think you're up to it?
Potentially. I mean, yeah, I reckon I can do well tomorrow.
I thought about being P2 this weekend, though.
Yeah.
I was about P2s now. I'll just be a bridesmaid, shall I?
Yeah, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Veloce is going to be quit tomorrow. Rubargo will probably be up there as well. Be close between us, I think.
Well,
it'll be fun to...
You're the one with the fucking dress, so...
Oh yeah, Dave wears that. Yeah, he wears a man's skirt, doesn't he? Up in
Yes.
Scotland.
Alright, well, congratulations, mate. Good job on your podium finish. We also want to talk to our
Cheers.
5th place finisher, XRL Flavor. Flavor, you had a really interesting fight throughout most of the day with your rival, Dragon, and in the end you came home 5th, but for a long period of that race there, Flavor, it honestly looked like you were going to walk off with the win if Zola, Dave, and Jigsaw all were required to pit. Ended up not working out because you had to pit late in the event irregardless. But walk us through the race from your perspective, Flavor.
Yeah, really good. I think it's been the best ever day in XRL for me. Yeah, it was going really well. Found myself in some good positions all the way through, really. Made a couple of mistakes. I don't know if could have made the mediums last at the end. But I saw an accident and I thought it was going to go pit stop and it do a safety car. And I went into the pits and it didn't bring a safety car out. So, yeah, I'm not sure the mediums would have lasted. Yeah, it was a great race. Yeah, really good. By the way, what Dave said wasn't sarcastic. It was tricking you, mate. It's not sarcastic. It's not sarcastic.
Nah, he said he was being
Fucking about, he
It's
was.
tricking you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mess him, won't we?
Doing the Schumacher. Yeah, I'm going in.
Mind games.
Going in.
Mind games for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just
That was
because you're
really good for me today, I
catching the.
think. I'm sorry.
So I was just gonna say, Dave, just because you're catching in the points, don't mean you can start playing tricks on us.
6 points, I'll be there soon.
No, it's definitely been my best. Sorry, I'm just going to continue. It's definitely been my best, like sort of day and sort of the performances I've been putting in recently. I just want to compete, and that's sort of what I'm doing or trying to. Let's hope I get a top 10 tomorrow.
Well, you definitely had a decent run here. Hopefully you can repeat that in X3. Hopefully for everyone here, they're able to repeat it in their X3 or X1 race, or if they're going to be running the X1. Zola, are you running X1 tomorrow, or are you just going to be broadcasting?
No, I'm not doing comms, but I might be racing X1 if there's a seat open they need me to. There is a seat open at the moment, but I'm hoping someone else fills it because people in X1 are faster than me, and I like to put in people that are faster than me, especially because the car that needs filling is a championship leader. I'd rather it be a better driver than me. But I mean, I'm not bad, I'm not slow. It's just I know there's faster people out there that probably should be in there instead of me. But if they don't fill it, then I'll fill it just to make sure that it's filled, and I've got an opportunity for them to get points. So, which will be Frisdy's car pretty much, because Frisdy's decided he just wanted to break everything in his house one day. No, I was joking. This thing fell down, it broke all his Xbox, and there's TV, so we can't race at the moment. But basically, if no one fills that seat for tomorrow in X1, I'll race X1, and I'll race X2 straight after.
Alright, well, regardless, if you end up having a race, good luck, mate, and to everyone
Good,
who
man.
finished top 5 today, good luck, and hopefully you're able to repeat the performance. Good job,
Yeah.
everyone. And once again, Dave, congratulations on that victory.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dave.
Thank you.
Alright, and with that in mind, this will bring us to an end for XRL's Realistic League. There should be another season of this when the next game comes out. Before now, Realistic comes to an end. There will likely still be a few exhibition races, a few odds and off events going on after the season is over, hit and miss, but this no longer is now the main focus for everyone here, for the drivers who are taking place in Dev, X1, X2, X3. Those are their main factors, those are their main focuses, and all that starts tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time on the main channel. Kinsey Retro will be covering the broadcast for the X1 race at Monza. On the alternate channel, I will be covering the X3 race, and at 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow will be the X2 race. All 3 series are having some very interesting battles going on, interesting rivalries, some little shenanigans going on. I highly encourage you to check that out. Until that time, though, I've been your host, InsaneLayer13. I want to thank you for joining us, not only for today, which could honestly be one of the greatest races we've ever had in Realistic, but for joining us over the course of this entire season. And I wish to say thank you very much for being willing to jump in with us, and goodbye.